We can let Paul in. Okay, so Majid asked if you could join Sam too. I believe it's actually a real estate webinar, so I don't think it's going to do you much good, Majid. And I don't have the link that he uses. The one that we use, I think, would be different. So, all right. Okay, that link does not go to the webinar you created with us. It's a different class. Yes, you're right, Robert. There are different classes there. However, mine should be uploaded to there now. It was just done yesterday, so if you try it again, I'll try that link later and see if I can get into it. But you can watch the first ones I did with the other class. Obviously, they're going to be very much the same, and they will have some good information in there for you guys. Also, might answer some questions that you don't even know you have yet. So I would watch those. But mine should be uploaded. I talked to Sam just a couple of days ago. He did say it was uploaded, so hopefully it's in there. If it's not, then I'll have to find out why that is. Okay. All right, I'm gonna share my screen and we'll get right into the IB. Oh, so let me answer Shanta's question. For interactive brokers, I don't believe that they do a RESP account. Okay, so I've been looking through them here. So last week we tried to get into this, and I used an email address that I didn't like. So I've already pre-done that, and this is basically the start of the application. Okay, you want to know where they want to know where your legal residence is. Obviously, I'm in Ontario, and then it's asking you what type of account you want. Okay, and so you can have an individual account, that's a margin account, right? You can have a joint account if you're getting, trading with someone else. Then your retirement accounts has two. You can have a spousal RSP or an RSP, and then of course you can have a tax-free savings account. So, as for Shanta's question, if you can do an RESP, I'm guessing no because it's not on the list here. I've not personally done one of those because I don't have children. The RESP, you may have to go to like a Questrade or something like that, or if you're with your bank. It's unfortunate, but interactive brokers, because of the cost of certain things, like a lira, as I spoke about last week, the cost from a governmental standpoint for interactive brokers to do liras is not worth their time and effort, so they don't do it. I'm putting RESPs in that same category. Again, I imagine that there's a fair bit of paperwork that has to be done from IB's side for the government. That's kind of typically why they don't do these kind of things. Okay, does that answer that for you, Shantha? Good. Okay. All right, so let's carry on with the application here. Like I said, we got to shorten this up tonight, so I want to keep moving. If you guys have questions, please just type them in, okay? Okay, how did you hear about us? Whatever, doesn't matter. Student Trading Lab's fine. We'll continue on. All right, let me ask who has a IB account already opened? Anybody? So Midget says he can have RSP direct investing, but not with interactive brokers. Yeah, you can direct invest it, just not with interactive brokers. That's the problem, right? Like I said, it comes down to what the brokers are willing to do. And again, for liras and RESPs, they're not really interested in it. Okay. So we'll just put in my stuff because we're not actually going to do this anyway. So all this stuff you guys can do on your own. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's just personal information. This isn't the part that you kind of need to know, but we'll just do it anyway. 1, 2, 3. Tyrol Road, City, Sarnia. Okay, postal code and 7S and 7T. Okay, and different mailing address, no. Different country of citizenship, no. Obviously, you guys know how to answer these questions. I'm not showing you anything that you don't already know. Okay. Country residence. So this might be one tax residency. For most of you, I'm assuming you're here in Canada. Um, obviously, if you put something else, it's going to change things. It'll ask you for tax identification number, etc., etc. So just be prepared for that. All right, employment status, whatever you guys need to put. I'm just going to put employed, employer, whatever. Let's say Google. Nature of business, business, we'll call it business, occupation, whatever, board member, country Canada, address. Of course, I'm making all this stuff up, right? You know that, right? Paul and Lenny are back. All right, so 12305 Smith Street. Okay. So right now I'm doing a tax-free savings account, which is fine. Obviously, if you do a margin, it's going to be a little bit different. But security questions. This is so ridiculous. But God, where do I shop? I don't even shop. None of this matters because I'm not going to go through with it. So say Ford. Excuse me. College applied to but didn't attend. Western. Security question for stock I ever bought. Well, that's an easy one. PNS. Timmy's. Yeah. Alright, let's keep moving on here. Invalid. Doesn't like my SIN number. What a shock. Alright, so see if it likes that one better. Still doesn't like it. Alright. What is going on here? Yeah, 111. Yeah, that'd be nice to have a social insurance number of just one. Let's see if 111 will work. I'm pretty sure it won't, but let's try it. Oh, didn't like it. I didn't figure it would. It's got to match your address and all that kind of goofy stuff, so. What is going on with this thing? Let's see if it likes those numbers. Hey, look at that. All right, so one of the things you have to do here for a tax-free savings account, if you are opening a registered account, you're either going to have to add a beneficiary or a successor. If you're married and you add a successor, I believe what will happen is the tax-free savings account will go directly over to your spouse. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I looked at that. But if you Google that, it'll give you the explanation for successor. But I believe that's what it does. If you add a beneficiary, obviously it's going to give it'll liquidate your tax-free savings account and give it to another individual. Okay. Um, anyway, like I said, just Google that and you'll know what's right for you. So we'll say Ellen. Successor can keep the account as is. Yeah, I think that's kind of like just transfers over. Thanks, Majid. Um, SIN number. Oh man, are you kidding me? It's gonna ask me for another one. All right, so 423-875-613. Let's see if this works. kind of a pain doing these, trying to show you guys, but I think it's worthwhile to get through to it. Doesn't like that. Doesn't like the SIN number. Come on, man. This is where this gets kind of goofy. Yeah, I won't like it again. Oh, man. Let's see if we go this way. Hey, look at that. It worked. All right. And awesome. So I don't know if you guys noticed what I did there. I used the same SIN number and it rejected it, right? Because I'm just making this stuff up as I go along. Oh, man. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, this is really becoming a kind of a pain. I don't even know how to get by this. Let's oh, come on, man. Hey, I think that one worked. Look at that. See? Anybody can make up a random SIN number. Okay, so here's the most important part. This is why I go through this with you guys, because if you don't answer these next questions properly, they're going to restrict your trading, okay? All right, so just ask if the member is a immediate household as a broker dealer. That's a no for most of you. If you are a broker dealer, you will have to put that in, and it will ask you a bunch of stuff. But basically, it's fine. Most of you don't own 10% of a publicly traded company, so you can leave that as no. Here's the kicker. If your net worth is not high enough, they will restrict you. If your liquid net worth is more than your net worth, they will either reject it or restrict it for you. Okay. So the reality is, you have to be truthful on these things, but you have to also understand that there are certain limitations. Does everybody understand that? The reason I'm telling you all this stuff is because, again, I want you to understand that they make these things up kind of generically, and if you don't fill them out properly, it's going to cause you issues down the road. Okay. So I'm just going to put in whatever numbers here. Okay. Now this is the big stuff here. When you go to do these investment objectives, sorry, if you put in the wrong ones, they're going to limit your account. Okay. So if you go with preservation of capital and income, and you try to do trading profits, it will kick you out. Okay? If you try to do speculation and preservation of capital, it will not let you do that. Okay? The reality is it's telling you that these two things are linked, right? The reality is, for most of you, actually for all of you, I would guess at some point, if you're going to be trading options or you're going to be trading futures or you're going to be trading Forex or you're going to be doing all of that stuff, you basically are better off to go speculation, trading profits, and hedging. Okay? Now you can do growth as well, it'll pop in there, but if you click preservation of capital or income, it's going to click all these out. Now, at some point in time, you may do all of these. The reality is if you start out with just these two, actually they even let you do growth and hedging, which is interesting. But if you start out with just these two, they're only going to let you do probably long stock, short stock, and maybe some covered calls or something like that. Eventually, you're going to want to do credit spreads. Eventually, you're going to want to do iron condors, which is on your gold key. Eventually, you're going to want to probably do naked puts. All of these different strategies, so you might as well set yourself up for success now. Okay. So these are the four that I typically see that work best. Okay. Now this is the big part here. Investment experience. Now whether you've just started trading or whether you've been trading for quite some time, if you do not put the right answers in here, they will limit your trading. Okay. Now it's not that you can't get it changed, it's that it's a pain in the butt to get changed. Okay. You have to call them up, and I don't want to say you got to beg them, but you've got to make them understand that you know more than the average person. And that's where you have to understand that when they ask these questions, they are asking a person that has never really traded before. Okay, so by the time you guys are done taking Master Trader, Options 1, Options 2, Forex, and a mentorship, you will know more than 90% of the planet, and we have to act accordingly for that. Okay, so years trading. Ideally, you want 3 years of trading. That's how much information you will have once you complete these courses, in my opinion. Again, this is just strictly my opinion. It's not law, it's not fact, it's anything. In my opinion, you guys are going to condense at least 3 years of trading experience into the information, the courses that you take with us. Because the reality is by the time you get done doing all your practice, all your paper trading on Thinkorswim, and all the trades that we show you in Master Trader and in Options 1, you will have at least 3 years of trading experience already under your belt. Okay. You can pick how many trades you do per year. That's fine. This one here, if you put limited knowledge for any one of these, they will not let you trade certain items. Okay. Now, if you have good knowledge, which after you take our courses, I would expect that you would at least have good knowledge. It might not have extensive, but you would have good. If you pick good and at least 3 years of trading, that will allow you to trade what you want to trade. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you have to trade anything. I'm just saying if you choose to do so later, that's up to you. Okay. Is everybody good with that? I need a yes from everybody. Just to understand, again, I'm not giving you financial advice here. I'm just telling you how things work, and I just want you to be clear on this because it'll make your life easier. Okay. Now, even if you haven't done options, again, if you take our Options 1 course, you're going to get a lot of information and you're going to get a lot of experience. If you mentor with me, you will do more trades before you go live than a lot of people would get in 3 to 5 years. Okay, so just let that kind of sink in for you. I like to get people to practice before they go live, and the more practice you get, the better you're going to be at it. That's just the way life works. Okay. All right. So trading countries, I just click all, right? North America and Canada. And here's the reason. I don't know. I know some of you are trading Canadian stocks right now. The reality is if you're going to get into trading and you're going to be serious about it, at some point in time you will be trading American stocks. Just on a personal note here, 95% of my trading is done in American stocks. And the reason being is when you start selling a covered call, if you take your average Canadian stock and then you take your average American stock, the premium that you will get out of those options in the States is leaps and bounds ahead of what we'll get in Canada. Moreover, the liquidity, which means how many people are trading that particular option, it goes up huge with U.S. Equities. Okay, so again, you want to put trading countries. I just click all because the reality is, at some point, if you really want to do this well, you'll be trading American stocks. Okay. All right. So your liquid net worth can be not larger than your net worth. See, so that already just showed me I made a mistake here. This is kind of like self-regulating, if you will. Okay. Okay. So it's going to ask me to confirm my mobile number. I'm not going to do that with you guys. I've not selected a treaty country. Okay. Do you qualify for income benefits? We have a tax treaty when it comes to RRSPs and TSFAs. We have a tax treaty with the U.S. They will withhold 15% of 15% of our dividends if you're getting dividends from United States stocks, which is fine. That's part of the treaty. But what it also allows us to do is in our RSPs, it allows us to pay tax here in Canada and not in the U.S. That's the tax treaty that we have, at least to my knowledge. And so, do you qualify for the benefits of the U.S. income tax treaty? If you're a Canadian, then yes, you do. Okay. Obviously, click a country. I'm, benefit of Canada, country of birth, yada yada yada. Now it's going to ask a bunch of stuff. You guys can read all this. I won't read it all to you. This is the cover their butt kind of stuff. When your name is down here, this becomes a signature. Okay, so it's the same as if you were signing your name. So by checking this box, electronic forms in lieu of paper. If you want to save some trees, click that. Here's the other thing about if you're one of those folks who like paper, just know that they charge extra for sending you paper statements. Does everybody get that? That's an extra fee that they add on. So just so everybody's clear, I don't want somebody getting paper here and then calling me up saying, hey, they charged me extra money for the paper. Okay, because basically I find it much easier to get all my forms off of the account management home anyway. I just find it to be a lot easier. Okay. All right, so there's going to be a whole bunch of agreements here. Consent to electronic dividends, shareholder communications, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to go through all those. You guys can click on those when you're doing it and read whatever you want to read there. I suggest that, some of it's very important, some of it's just tedious, but I'll let you guys be your own control board for that. So, all right, so now it's going to ask us to fund, okay? So in this particular case, you can do two things. You can do a cash transfer or you can do a position transfer. If you're transferring from another broker to Interactive Brokers, you're going to want to do a position transfer. Okay, so it's going to ask you for either a full ATON, which is Canadian Asset Transfer, or a partial. If you only want a few stocks or cash coming over, you can do a partial. If you want the whole thing moved over, you just click full ATON. Okay. Contra broker, this is going to ask you whatever broker you're coming from. You could be coming from TD Waterhouse. Okay. It's going to ask you for the account number. You're going to have to put that in. Microcap stocks, I don't think anybody's probably transferring any microcap stocks, but if you are, those are, small cap, like not even small cap, they're probably like penny stocks, basically. So if you're transferring penny stocks to IB, then you'd have to click this button here. And so, you can read through this. I won't go through this, but if your shares do not meet the requirements of the ones up above, then you can't transfer them over. Chances are, I don't think anybody's probably going to fall into this range, but if they do, just Google U.S. microcap stocks and it'll tell you all about it. Okay. So this is pretty much the end of the line for this. If I click funding, it's going to ask me a whole bunch of stuff. Does anybody have any questions about filling this out? It's really not that hard. it comes down to the trading objectives. It comes down to the investment knowledge questions. It comes down to, basically filling it out with your information. What happens after this is they'll ask you to upload a bank statement. Again, I can't really go any further than this. Actually, I might be able to go further if I don't fund it. Let me see if I can go back. Let's see if I can go back and fund it later. So we'll go through this. Okay, so fund this. I can skip this. Let's skip that. Okay. Account will not be open trading. That's what it's saying. So I'm just going to skip that. It's going to go here. So it's submitted for approval, this account. Okay. And then it's asking you to fund it. Basically, you can review your previous steps, whatever you want. To configure the account, I can keep going here. Now it's going to select, so this is something. So market data. With IB, you got to pay for market data, real-time market data. If you trade enough, they cut some of it down. It can be anywhere from $10 a month to $30 or $40 a month, I think, for pretty much everything. The reality is you guys will probably all fall under the non-professional. If you put that, do we need it? Yeah, you kind of need it, Majid. You really do, especially if you're trading. Like if you don't have real-time data and you're trying to trade effectively, it's probably not going to work out that well. Okay. Now, yeah, if you have TOS and it's real-time data, then you can probably get away with it. But it's got to be real-time data. If you're using a paper trading account, Majid, then it's not going to be real-time data. It'll be delayed 20 minutes. And again, you don't want to trade like that. Okay. So you're all probably going to click non-professional. If you click professional on this and you're going to do a market data, what happens is they charge you the CBOE, basically the exchanges charge extra fees if you're a professional. So make sure that you're clicking non-professional. Again, it has to be, here's the other clicker for some of you. I know I taught you about this, but if you're doing this through a corporation, they will automatically deem you a professional. And if you want market data, they're going to charge you a lot more money for it. So just know that. I say for anybody who wants to trade in a corporation, trade for yourself. Get your education out of the way. Get your practice out of the way. Get very good at what you do. And then if you want to trade through a corporation, I would say you can do it then. But you want to be making sure you're earning some money to overcome the costs. Okay. So basically, like I said, knowing all of you in this class here, I would expect that you would all be non-professionals. Okay. Yeah, so you can see here it says if the customer does not fit the definition of a non-professional, he or she is considered a professional and is charged a higher rate for market data than a non-professional. Professionals must have their names and addresses submitted to the securities exchanges. I'm guessing none of you fall into that category. Okay. So then you just agree to these and you can continue. Okay, so now it's going to ask you for market data subscriptions. Okay, I just leave it on global. You can just go North America because the reality is with this TSFA, you won't be able to trade. I don't believe you'll be able to trade European stocks in the TSFA. So then you can see how much if you want streaming data, $450 a month for for the equity and the options for US, and then like I said, there's a whole bunch here you guys can look through. Security, all this stuff. This will give you the futures contracts if you're going to be trading futures. Again, there is a waiver if you once you get this stuff. If you're trading more than that, then they sometimes waive the fees. You'll have to read up on that to see which ones they actually for them to actually for you to see which ones they actually waive. So NBB stands for National Best Bid Offer. Okay, so that's basically just the best price the best bid ask that they can get. Okay, so you can see Mexican derivatives, NASDAQ, all this stuff. All this stuff is rolled into one package. You can see here the Toronto Stock Exchange is $9 a month. You have to be Canadian for that if you want that. Mutual funds, they waive the fee. Again, level 2 deep book here. These most of you will not be using unless you're you're trading a lot. But again, you can get the CBOT futures, the CME futures, those kind of things. If you're trading the futures, then that's something you'll want to look into. But right off the bat, you can start with one of these quote bundles, and that will take care of a large portion of what you're doing. Right? If you got the futures bundles, it's $5 a month. So when you guys, if you think about where you're coming from, if you're with TD right now or Thinkorswim, they're charging you, $8-9 a trade. All of a sudden, $5 a month for data doesn't seem that much, considering you're going to start paying, trading stock for $1 or $1.50 in IB. Okay, so even though you got to pay for data, it's still much better off than other places, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm just going to skip this step. Okay, so it's going to booster packs. I don't need any of that. I don't need quotes, real-time simultaneous quotes. So this is the stuff you're going to get. You'll get the Ideal FX, so that's Forex. You're going to get the index CFEs and the metal. You get all that stuff free. Okay, some of it you'll use, some of it you may not. Okay, now here's where things get interesting. So Interactive Brokers has a secure login system. Okay, so basically you can get it for your iPhone. Okay, you can download it, and then there's an app that you can use to get into this. You can do it for Android as well, or you can get a physical security login device. This is how I do it. I have this card that basically what happens with this card, it has a bunch of random numbers, and it's designed for security. And so if I go, let's say, so right down here, you can see that it's asking me for 116 and 14. So what I got to do is I look for 116, and you guys will see here that it's R3E. So I got to put in R3E, and then I got to look for 14, which is LN3. I just type them in, no space, and then I click through this, and it gives me this page here. Okay, so this is getting to the application status. So what it needs is proof of additional proof of identification. So if you click on more information, basically it's going to tell you they need a bank statement that's less than 6 months old, and you can upload that into here. Okay, so if you just click upload, and then it'll say choose one, and you say bank statement, and then it'll say drag a file here, and I'm sure you guys can all do that. If you have problems doing that, just shoot me an email. Okay. So it wants a bank statement, and then it wants more information here. It wants a utility bill or investment account statement as well. Typically, depending on how you do this, they'll probably only ask for a bank statement, and you may not need this other stuff. But if you do, it's really not that hard to do. You just go on your online banking or whatever, and you can do it. You can email it to them as well, in a PDF. Or upload it. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. Okay, so that's pretty much that. Once you're done uploading that, then they'll come along and they'll let you know if you've got a valid account open. Then you can fund it, and after a little while, it'll be trading. So a heads up for everybody: if you do a fund transfer, it can take a fair bit of time. I've seen them be as short as 3 weeks, and I've seen them be as long as 6 weeks. It depends on the institution that you're getting the transfer from. Typically, they can be a bit of, brokers don't like to lose business. Let's put it that way. And so sometimes you can get a bit of static or a little bit of resistance, and then other times it transfers almost immediately. So it's kind of just hit or miss with the brokerages. All right. Everybody good with that? Okay, we got lots of yeses. So it's not too hard. It's a bit of a challenge to get through this stuff, but it's not the end of the world. Okay. All right, so we got about 10 more minutes here. Is there anything you guys want me to go over? Any questions you have? Anything you want to talk about? Let's fire them away, and I'll go through whatever you guys want to talk about. The only bad questions are the ones that aren't asked. Okay, so Majid, I am still not sure where we are standing. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean, where we are standing, how we are progressing. Okay, hold on a second, Majid. So Laura, they don't verify your net worth. They don't care. Whatever number you put in there, they're not going to ask you to verify it. They've never asked me my net worth. See, when you answer that question, they just take you at face value. Okay? So you can put in anything you want there. I've never had any one of my students ever been asked, nor have in all the accounts I've opened, I've never been asked. Okay? So how are you progressing? So Majid, at what net worth did they limit you? Yeah, I think you have to be over 100,000 for the net worth, Laura, but don't quote me on that. If you own a house, chances are your net worth is way more than what you need anyway. So yeah, I've never ran into that problem before. Typically, like I said, if you actually add up all the value of what you have, you should be good. So Majid, how far along are you in the Master Trader? I think that's where you're asking where we're standing. So you're finished the on-demand? Okay. So have you signed up for the live class that starts in, I think it's June 14th? Not yet? Okay. So that's your next step, Majid, is to get signed up for that class. Okay. Get signed up for that class, get through that class, and then we'll get you moving forward with that. I know you're clicking along pretty good, so that's good. Keep that pace up. Make sure they remember what I was saying to everybody is keep a journal of questions you have, because you're gonna have a live instructor. You're gonna have somebody teaching you the Master Trader live, and that's where you want to get every one of your questions answered. Okay. That's you're gonna have, hopefully you guys. I'm not sure who's doing the live class right now, but we've got some really good instructors for it. Okay. So Paul says, notice that stock seems to drop around 10 or 11 a.m., yet we were told to buy in the morning. What is the best time to buy? Okay, so here's the thing, Paul. If you've been going through the Master Trader, I find this question a lot, actually. What people like to do, which can be detrimental to them, is they basically they start to see patterns that aren't really solid patterns. So you can look at it and you say, okay, the stocks drop around 10 or 11, but I could show you a bunch of stocks that jump up at 10 or 11, right? So maybe the ones you're watching actually do that. The reality is the best time to buy is when stocks are going up. So if you go through the Master Trader, what you're going to find is something called confirmation. So one of the things that I teach my mentor students is they never buy a stock unless it's confirmed to the upside. Okay, so now when I mentor people, we can drill that down to multiple time frame trading and a bunch of other stuff. But the reality is when we look at a chart, let me share my screen and I'll show you what I mean. I'll pull up my Thinkorswim here. Okay, so just this is the rut, which is not really good for what we need. Let's go to Apple here. See what Apple looks like today. Okay, Apple's not what I want. Let's go to U.S. Steel. Yeah, again, not what I want. Let's go IMO. Okay, so can everybody see my? Let me just. Okay. 1 second, I'll get to your question in a minute. So, you asked me what the best time to buy. If I'm looking at this stock, Imperial Oil Limited here, and I see this running up, and I see this pull back to basically this support level right here, basically at the 31.50 essentially. See when I see this red candle? After this green candle is in and it goes above this red candle, that's the best time to buy a stock, Paul. You're not gonna, if you're trying to nickel and dime the market, you're gonna have a really tough time trading. Okay, what we want to do is we want to just make sure that our stocks are going in the right direction when we start the trade. Okay, and so what this tells me is this is something called a bull pullback. So this pulls back to support, right, and then turns around. When this pulls back to support, that's when I want to put my order in, and I want to put it above this candle here. And you're going to learn all this at Master Trader or the options. And I would put my order to buy this in right here, and then already as soon as my order goes in, I'm already in the right direction. Okay, that's called confirmation, confirming to the upside. And so with a big candle like this, you know what? It would not shock me tomorrow. Now it did hit the 10-day moving average, but it would not shock me tomorrow to see this pop up even further. Okay. Hopefully that answers, Paul. Like I said, you'll find as you go through the Master Trader that'll become a lot more clear. We have about 6 or 7 criteria that we use before we buy any stock, and it puts us in a really good position right off the bat. Okay. So Gladys asks, in the regulatory questions, I got stuck at the first question: is the account holder a broker dealer, etc., and has already selected yes, and is asking me to select the company. So yeah, that's okay. So Gladys, what you want to do is you want to click on the no part of that. So if you click in that box, it should slide over to no, because I'm pretty sure you're not a broker dealer, right? You haven't had a mutual fund license, or you're not currently holding a mutual fund license, right? No. Yeah. So you want to click in that little box where it says yes. Just click that to no, and then it should get rid of that one for you. Okay. All right, everybody. So we got a couple. But you made a mistake and selected that. That's okay. You should be able to go back and change it again. It's fine. It's not set in stone. You just have to click back to it. Okay. Change your occupation, but it does give me the options to update it. Should I call them? You change your occupation, but it doesn't give you the options to update it. Okay, did you click the back button at the bottom, Gladys? If you click the back button at the bottom, it should give you a chance to go back and change pretty much everything. Okay. If you still haven't, you did, okay. So it doesn't let you change the option. Okay. Yeah, you might have to give them a call, Gladys, and get them to walk you through it. They might have to reset it for you. It shouldn't be doing that. I'm not sure why it is, but yeah, give them a shout. They're usually pretty good, especially when you're trying to open an account. They're usually pretty helpful. Okay. Okay. All right. We've run out of time for tonight, guys and gals. We'll do one more of these. Actually, you know what? I don't think. Yeah, I'll let you. I'll send you guys an email. I'm on the road next week. I've got to be in Atlanta, so I'm not sure when I'll be able to do this. But I will. If you guys have questions, just send me an email if you guys want me to do something specific. If not,